Living longer, living healthier, living better than ever before. Welcome to Mountain Pacific's Healthy Living for Life, a weekly series that gives you the information, education, and expert insight you need to become an active participant in today's ever-changing healthcare climate. Here now is today's program host.
When I say fast food, what comes to mind? A greasy hamburger, salty French fries, maybe some ready-made tacos? There's no arguing, fast food is convenient and cheap, but what is the real cost of fast food when it comes to your health? I'm your host, Janet Whitmoyer. Welcome to Healthy Living for Life, a show dedicated to helping you do just that. Welcome back. This morning we offer some food for thought when it comes to hitting a fast food drive-thru. Yes, it's convenient, but what it does to our bodies isn't at all convenient for any of us. Joining us is Dr. Sharon Hecker, a cardiologist from Rocky Mountain Heart and Lung in Kalispell. Thanks for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. It's a pleasure.
Good. Let's start off with the real big picture. So can you tell us what's so bad about fast food?
Well, fast food's pretty much everything. They're high in calories, they're high in sodium, they don't bring a lot of nutrients with them to your body, and they make people fat.
Okay. So let's try to break that down a little bit. One of the things you talked about was that they're high in carbohydrates. Can you explain to us why carbohydrates are so bad, and specifically fast food carbohydrates?
Right. Well, one of the problems with carbohydrates is that simple carbohydrates when we eat them, they go into our bloodstream very quickly. So our blood sugars spike. That spike in blood sugar triggers a release of insulin to help the sugar get into the cells and to kind of control this like overwhelming flood of sugar that gets into the system. Once that outpouring of insulin comes along, then your blood sugar plummets. So people will feel a quick burst of energy and then later on feel hungry again, not satisfied.
Okay, so can you give us some recommendation when it comes to carbohydrates? Are all of them bad, or are there some that are actually good for us?
Oh no, we need carbohydrates. In fact, most of our calories should come from carbohydrates. But a better carbohydrate would be a complex carbohydrate. Those would be the kinds of carbohydrates you find in vegetables, fruits, nuts, whole grains, beans. Complex carbohydrates are longer chain carbon molecules, and they take longer for our bodies to break down. They stay in our stomach longer, so we feel full longer. And because of that length of time that it takes for our body to process them, we don't get the same spikes in blood sugar that you see with simple carbohydrates.
Okay. Another component that you talked about was sodium or salt.
Yeah.
So can you tell us what the danger is with salt? How much really should we have, and why is the fast food a problem with sodium?
Well, let me just explain a little bit about what happens with the fast food and pretty much any prepared or processed foods that you eat. The sodium there is not really added the way we think of a salt shaker. It comes in the form of preservatives, flavor enhancers, things like that. It's very complex, and huge amounts of sodium can be hidden in food that you might not even think of as salty. For example, bread can be very high in sodium. And salt is great or sodium is great as a flavor enhancer, but it doesn't have great effects on the body after a certain amount. We need salt to live. I usually tell people to focus on what comes out of the salt shaker. That's the stuff that really makes your food taste good, and you can use quite a bit of salt out of your salt shaker before getting to that teaspoon maximum each day. On the other hand, a single fast food meal will put you over the teaspoon very quickly.
And so if you were to eat that and actually have too much sodium, what effect would that have on your body?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you won't feel good. The salt load or the sodium load brings a lot of the fluid in your body already into your intestinal tract, and that'll make you feel a little bit queasy. Okay. But second of all, that sodium also helps you retain fluid and raises your blood pressure. So you might end up with hypertension or some of the bad side effects of chronic high blood pressure.
Okay, so following on that a little bit, there are certain people who really do need to restrict their sodium. What kinds of conditions or what kind of people should really be more careful than others with their sodium intake?
Yeah. Well, we know that people with high blood pressure can lower their blood pressure just by watching their sodium intake. Yeah. Again, about 2,000 milligrams a day is what we recommend. A similar condition would be congestive heart failure, where people tend to retain fluid. They might want to make sure they're not eating too much salt as well. One of the things we found is that certain dietary interventions, like cutting back on the salt in your diet, are as effective as some of our medications in treating high blood pressure.
Okay, great. Another thing in fast foods that seems to be an issue, or that we've heard a lot about, is oils and fats. There's been a lot of information on saturated oils and fats. Can you kind of clarify for us, are these oils bad for us, or are there good oils or fats as well?
Yeah, so the whole fast food product is really engineered to make us feel good. Like, we taste it, it's easy to digest, it's easy to chew, it slides down very easily. There's nothing difficult about it, even taste-wise. And some of that has to do with the combination of salt, fat, and sugar that are put into the fast foods. The fats that are often used are what we call hydrogenated fats. So those are vegetable oils that would be ordinarily liquid at room temperature, but because of the deep frying, for example, these get altered and become partially hydrogenated. And those are the most unhealthy types of fats. The healthiest fat of all are fats that we would find in olive oil or some of the vegetable oils. These are the monounsaturated fatty acids. They're very good for us, and they actually help promote health by shunting fats away from the atherosclerotic or hardening of the arteries pathway to a healthier pathway, bringing us to better arterial and neurologic health.
Okay. You've given us some really good information on fats, sodium, and other harmful parts of fast foods. And so I want to thank you for this information. Coming up next, you've probably noticed that more and more fast food restaurants are trying to offer healthier choices. But just how healthy are they? We'll look at the menus of several popular fast food restaurants and whether there are healthy options to be found out there. So don't go away.